Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something I know is on a lot of your minds, the IELTS test. That's the International English Language Testing System.
Right.
We've got the materials you've shared, and the plan today is really to break down what this test actually is, and maybe more importantly, how you can prep for it smartly.
Yeah, smartly is the key word there.
Whether you're looking at studying overseas, maybe immigration, or just want that globally recognized English benchmark, well, getting your head around IELTS is pretty crucial.
Absolutely.
So if you felt a bit stuck, maybe kind of overwhelmed with all the info out there, or just not sure where to start, this is for you.
And it's worth stressing why IELTS is so important, why we're doing this deep dive. It's that global reach.
Yeah.
It's accepted by, over 11,000 places worldwide.
Mm.
Universities, immigration departments, UK, Canada, Australia, professional groups, even more and more in the US and Europe.
Wow, 11,000.
Yeah, it's huge.
Huh.
So for many goals, it's not just helpful, it's, well, essential.
And it helps to know there are those two main types, right? Academic and general training.
Exactly. Academic is mostly for uni study.
Okay.
General training, that's more for immigration, work, that sort of thing.
But the good news, I guess, is that the basic structure, the skills they test, the prep, it's pretty similar for both.
Largely, yes.
Mm.
The content might differ a bit, like in the reading and writing, but the four skills are always the same: listening, reading, writing, and speaking.
Right, those core four.
So the strategies we talk about today, they'll help whichever version you're aiming for.
Okay, good. So let's get into the strategy side then. Because this feels important. It's not just about studying for hours and hours. It's about being smart about it.
Precisely.
Hmm.
That came up a lot in the materials. People put in the time, but don't always get the results.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, often it's because they're studying English in general, but not studying for the test specifically. IELTS isn't just testing if you know English words. It's testing if you can use English effectively in certain situations.
Like lectures or reading academic papers for the academic test?
Exactly. Or for general training, handling everyday situations, writing letters, understanding announcements. So your prep needs to match that.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's break down those four skills and give people some real actionable tips. Starting with listening.
Sure. Listening, it's about 30 minutes long.
And the big challenge everyone mentions is you only hear the recording once.
Yeah, that's the pressure point. No repeats.
And accents too, right? You mentioned different accents.
Definitely. You'll hear British, Australian, Canadian, maybe others. It's meant to reflect real-world English.
So getting your ear tuned in is key.
Absolutely. You need to actively get comfortable with that variety.
So how can people actually do that? What's the practical advice?
Okay, first step, listen to lots of real audio. Podcasts are great.
Uh-huh.
News clips, like from the BBC or similar sources. YouTube interviews. Just immerse yourself.
But just listening isn't quite enough.
Not really for targeted prep. A really good exercise is to actually try transcribing bits of what you hear. Write it down word for word.
Oh, interesting. Why does that help so much?
It forces you to really focus on the sounds, the connected speech, how different accents work. It trains your ear intensely.
Okay, I can see that. And in the actual test, any quick tips for when that recording starts playing?
Yeah, definitely. Use the time before it starts. Read the questions for that section. Underline the keywords.
Oh, you know what you're listening for.
Exactly. Prime your brain. And then, while listening, try to anticipate slightly. Think maybe 5 seconds ahead.
Like guessing what might come next.
Sort of. It helps you stay focused and not get completely lost. If you miss one tiny detail, it gives you a bit of a buffer.
Right, a mental buffer. Good tip. Okay, let's shift to reading. That's 60 minutes, 40 questions. Sounds like a race against time.
It really is. Time pressure is a huge factor here.
And the key isn't necessarily reading every single word carefully.
No, definitely not. That's a common mistake. The main skills are scanning, looking for specific words or numbers, and skimming, getting the general idea of a paragraph quickly.
So you can find the answers faster.
Precisely. Think about how you read reports or articles in real life when you need specific info. You don't read every word then either, usually.
True. So how do we practice that specific skill?
A great way is to grab online articles, news, blogs, whatever interests you, read them fairly quickly, and then try to summarize the main point in, say, just 3 sentences.
Forcing yourself to be concise and identify the core message.
Exactly. It builds that speed and main idea identification muscle you need for IELTS reading.
Nice. Okay, moving on to Writing. I sense this is where a lot of anxiety creeps in for people.
Yeah, it's often seen as challenging. Structure, clarity, grammar, addressing the prompt properly. It feels like a lot to juggle.
And there are two tasks, right?
Yes, task one is different for academic and general training. Academic, you describe a graph, chart, or diagram.
Okay.
General training, you write a letter for a specific situation.
And task two.
Task two is an essay for both versions. You'll get a topic or question and need to present an argument, discuss views, maybe offer solutions.
Now, something about template phrases came up in the materials. Is that like a shortcut?
Um, Not exactly a shortcut, but definitely a smart tool. Using set phrases can really help us structure and save time.
Can you give an example?
Sure. For academic task one, describing data, you could start with things like, according to the given data, or the chart illustrates that.
Oh, okay. Gets you started.
Right. And for task two essays, phrases like, one major advantage is, or on the other hand, a significant drawback could be, help organize your points.
So they provide a framework.
Exactly. But, and this is important, you need to adapt them. Don't just plug them in randomly. They need to fit this specific question.
Got it. And another point was about clarity over complexity. Don't try too hard to sound super academic.
Absolutely crucial. The examiners want clear communication above all else. Trying to use overly fancy words or complicated sentences often makes things less clear, and that can hurt your score. Focus on expressing your ideas logically and accurately.
Good advice. Less is more, maybe.
Sometimes, yes, clarity is key.
Okay, final section. Speaking. This one involves talking directly to an examiner, which sounds intimidating.
It can feel that way, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also a chance to really show your conversational skills. It's quite short, only 10-15 minutes.
And it has a set structure, too.
Yes, 3 parts. Part 1 is introductory questions about you, your work, hobbies, familiar stuff.
Okay, easing you in.
Then part 2, you get a cue card with a topic. You have a minute to prep, and then need to speak about it for 1 to 2 minutes.
Right, the long turn.
And part 3 is a discussion based on the part 2 topic. The examiner asks more abstract, in-depth questions.
So preparation. What's the number one thing people should do for speaking?
Practice speaking. Every day, if possible.
Take it.
Well, talking with purpose. A great technique mentioned in the materials is recording yourself answering typical IELTS-style questions.
Oh, like the cue card topics.
Yeah, or just random topics. Record your answer, then, and this is the important bit, listen back.
Why listen back? What are you listening for?
You listen for fluency, for pauses, for hesitation, words like for vocabulary range, for grammar mistakes. It's self-correction. It can be uncomfortable, but it's incredibly effective.
I can imagine. And what about those moments when your mind goes blank? Any tricks?
Yeah, having a few thinking time phrases can help. Things like, that's an interesting question, or, let me think for a second, or, well, off the top of my head.
Buys you a few seconds.
Exactly. Just don't overuse them. Use them naturally.
And you mentioned earlier accents aren't the main focus for the examiner. That might relieve some stress.
Definitely. Clear pronunciation is important so they can understand you, of course. But they're mainly assessing your fluency, how smoothly you speak, your coherence, how logical your ideas are, your vocabulary range, and your grammar. Not whether you sound British or American.
Okay, good to know. So wrapping up this part, if we had to boil it down, what's the single biggest takeaway about IELTS?
I think it's that success isn't just about how good your English is overall. That's part of it, obviously.
Right.
But it's hugely about understanding the test itself, the format, the question types, the timing, and it's about smart practice, using the right strategies for each section, and learning how to manage that test day pressure.
So test strategy is as important as language skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you don't need perfect grammar or a massive vocabulary. Confidence, structure, controlling your pace, those things are incredibly important for getting the score you need.
That feels more achievable somehow. So if you listening have been feeling a bit lost or swamped by IELTS prep, hopefully this is giving you a clearer picture, a roadmap.
Yeah, a starting point. And like we said, this is just the beginning. We're planning to go deeper into each skill in future deep dives.
Definitely. We'll look at more examples, specific practice tricks, templates you can actually use, tasks you can try out.
So stay tuned for that.
But for now, we've got a question for you. Hop into the comments and tell us, which section of IELTS worries you the most? Listening, reading, writing, or speaking? And crucially, why? What specifically about it feels challenging?
Yeah, we really want to hear from you on that. Knowing your concerns helps us make sure our future sessions are hitting the right spots.
And one more thing, if you'd be interested in maybe seeing a mock speaking test demonstration or watching us break down a writing task in real time, just type mock me in the comments.
Let us know what would be most helpful.
Exactly. Consider this the start of your focused IELTS journey. We're here to help you navigate it.
Let's do this.